Okay. Welcome, everyone. Good morning to those who are gathered here in the sanctuary and to all who are joining online. We begin this morning with a musical prelude by Scott DuVoe. Thank you, Scott. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Charlottesville. My name is Tori Goodlow. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm pleased to be leading worship this morning with Rev. Tim Timerson and music director Scott DuVoe and Rev. Leah Derlin-Jones. This sanctuary was built over 70 years ago on the homeland of the Monacan people and was once cared for by enslaved people from Africa and their descendants. We honor all who have dwelt here and all in our congregation whose lives led to this moment of our gathering. I invite us to take a moment to greet others. Those online may unmute, and those here in the sanctuary or social hall are welcome to greet your neighbors, especially those you may not know.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning, everybody.
Nice to see you, even the ones I can't see.
Good morning.
Hello all.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm glad to be able to join virtually today.
Me too. You mean you don't wish you were there in your pajamas?
Actually,
Here
I'm
might be
cooking for some friends who are coming over tonight, and I thought I'm not going to get all this done and do that. It's, I'm having fear of missing out or fear of not cooking.
I get that.
Yeah. Well, I was mostly lazy, but we'll just leave it at that.
We offer a special welcome to newcomers and invite you to join us for fellowship after the service in the social hall. Feel free to use one of our red coffee mugs, and UU-Cville members and friends are reminded to offer a warm welcome to anyone with a red mug. There is a live stream of the service in the social hall, and while everyone is welcome here in the sanctuary, the social hall can be a good option if you need a roomier space. Many thanks to all the folks helping us share worship both here and online, our greeters, ushers, and hospitality teams, and special thanks to our AV team led by Rachel Buckland. And now we have greetings from board member Kay Frazier. Okay. Is there anyone on the board who wants to come up and welcome? Oh, Tammy, you are such a gem. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for coming out, and those who remembered. I did at the last minute, thankfully for my wife. Pajamas and pancakes today. We are moving furiously toward our long-term plan goals and appreciate all of your input and committees that you are serving on to help us make the plans a reality. Have a wonderful day and enjoy the pancakes afterwards.
Thank you, Tammy. All right, as Tammy mentioned, today is PJs and Pancakes Day at UU-Cville, so join us for delicious pancakes after the service in the social hall. Everyone gets pancakes whether or not you are in your jammies. Our new support group for people who have a loved one with dementia will have their first meeting today starting at 12:30 in Lower Hall 3. You are welcome to bring your pancakes with you. Are you new to the UU Congregation of Charlottesville? Want to learn more about our congregation and Unitarian Universalism? Join Rev Tim and several lay leaders next Sunday at 12:15 for our monthly newcomer circle. In conjunction with the local chapter of the Sierra Club, the UU-Cville Ministry for Earth invites you to write postcards to voters for an April 1st election in Wisconsin. We are holding house parties on Saturday, February 8th at 2 p.m. and Tuesday, February 18th at 10 a.m. See Ellie Severud, sorry, Ellie, for the house party address or for cards to write at home. Ellie's right there. Raise your hand, Ellie. Ellie, I've never had to say your last name. I'm sorry. Our congregation's UU Christian Fellowship will gather next Sunday morning, February 9th from 9:45 to 10:45 in Summit House 1. Rev Kathleen Rollins will facilitate. We will gather for study, reflection, worship, and support. All are welcome. Finally, we are in urgent need for volunteer drivers as part of our partnership with Sind Barreras. Our pre-K tutoring program has doubled in size and resumes tomorrow. For the first time, we are offering rides for parents and children for whom transportation is a challenge. The pre-K classes are held at the Church of the Carnation on Mondays and Wednesdays from 10 to 11:30 a.m. The pre-K program is growing and making a difference, and we don't want transportation to be a barrier to participation. If you'd like to learn more, speak to Mary Beth Wiley. Mary Beth, can you raise your hand? Thank you. After the service, or email rides@uucharlottesville.org. Please join us for coffee, conversation, and pancakes after the service.
All right, good morning, everyone. So before Tori and I offer the opening words, I have to show off my attire, and especially this specially made pancake stole that I wear once a year at this service. Now, this stole was made for me by Janice Walker. Janice, I'm hoping and assuming you're on Zoom, and Janice deserves lots of props. I was jokingly saying to her when I started here, gosh, this Sunday, I wish I had a special stole to wear, and she said, I'll make you one. So, Rachel, I don't know if you can zoom in for the people on Zoom, but it has blueberries, a pat of butter, a chalice, and sprinkles. So there you go. So Janice, thank you very much. And it's just, I love wearing this. So. All right. So Tori and I would like to share a call to worship with you that was written by one of our former ministers, the Reverend Leslie Takahashi. Come, come, whoever you are.
Come with your hurts, your imperfections, your places that feel raw and exposed.
Come with your strengths, your hopes, your wild imaginings of a better world.
Wanderer, worshiper, we will make a place for you. We will build a home together.
Ours is no caravan of despair. We journey together. Come, yet again come.
I now invite Sam, Ashley, and Ben Cooley to light our flaming chalice. Will you please join in saying our chalice lighting words? We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the world we share together. And now we will do our hand motions. We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is a church of open minds. This is a church of helping hands. This is a church of loving hearts. Our opening song is Holy Now, written and performed by Peter Mayer. You can remain seated, but feel free to sing along since the lyrics are included in the video.
When I was a boy, each week on Sunday we would go to church, pay attention to the priest, and he would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. And when I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad, miracles don't happen still. Now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at home. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, to shining where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips. But now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down. But I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Testament, that'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come, say it's not a sacrament. I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down. But I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Happy PJs and pancakes. I feel like after watching the video of that beautiful song / hymn, it would feel good for all of us just to take a big, deep breath together. One of the things that we often say in children's worship is, I breathe in, I breathe out, I am relaxed. So Tim and I were thinking about that beautiful song that we all just listened to and watched, and how it connects to this new month that we're in together of February. So welcome to February. Woohoo. And welcome to the ministry theme of inclusion. Think about that word for a minute, inclusion, and think about the song that we just listened to. And what comes to mind when you think about how you might describe the idea of inclusion? Anybody want to raise their hand and offer? Yeah, Ellie.
Everyone matters.
Everyone matters, yeah. What else? What else might we mean? Bev? Welcoming. Yeah.
Yes.
The whole earth matters, yeah.
Yes.
Making it easy for everyone to participate. Making it easy
for everyone to participate.
Everyone to
Yes.
participate, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Any other thoughts about inclusion? Yeah, Joan. recognizing everyone and everything as holy. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I was reflecting with Reverend Tim about the lyrics in the song and how the songwriter talks about going to Sunday school and the things that he learned in Sunday school, and how they were important stories and foundational in his understanding. But then there was a shift. So what he'd learned didn't quite fit anymore, and he began to think about those stories in a different way, or even deepening his understanding of what is holy. And then he used this really interesting word for Unitarian Universalists, miracles. Yeah.
That can be a challenging word, especially the way it's oftentimes used in sacred texts. But I love that word and I love this song. One of many reasons is because he lets us know, Peter Mayer tells us, that when you really open your eyes, when your gaze is as wide as it can be, you realize that being here, that life itself is the miracle, that the bird, the sunset, everything is a miracle. And that is so Unitarian Universalist, if I may say.
Yeah, everything is holy now. So looking for those miracles, big and small, in our daily lives. And I'm imagining that you might even be able to think of things you experienced already today that have a sense of the miraculous to them. So good things to ponder as we move into the month of February,
Absolutely.
as we think about inclusion, as we think about our capacity as a congregation, as individuals, to make change in the world, change that is desperately called for and needed. So,
Absolutely.
with that, we're going to sing our young people to their religious education classes, and then we will all join together for a feast
Yes.
following.
Absolutely.
We are an interconnected community that cares for one another. Part of how we embody this care is by making time each week to share the joys and sorrows we hold in our hearts. Everyone is invited to come forward as you wish and place a glass stone in a communal bowl of water as a symbolic act of each being held by the larger love that holds us all. All are welcome to participate, including those who are new to our congregation. Those online may type their joys and sorrows into the chat. Patty Wallens from the pastoral care team will come forward to help hold the space. Patty will be available for a few minutes after the service in the back corner of the sanctuary if you are in need of pastoral support or just want someone to listen. Those online can contact the pastoral care team at pastoral@ucharlottesville.org. Let us begin our ritual. This community offers its love and support to what is closest to our hearts. Another way we show our care for one another is in sharing our financial gifts with our community and our congregation. Our social action collection for the month of February is for Impact, and here to tell us about Impact is Kelsey Cowger.
Thank you, Tori. Hi, everybody. So I have made this pitch before because I have been helping lead the Impact organization at UU Charlottesville for the past several years, along this year, gratefully, with Susan Carlson and Meg Dunham. Can I just ask, if you are new to our congregation, if you've never heard of Impact before, if you don't know what I'm talking about, will you just raise your hand just so I know who's here? Excellent. Now, if you are a member of our church who has been to the Nehemiah Action before, will you raise your hand? Okay, so for all the people who don't know what I'm talking about, look at the people who just raised their hand. The reason I wanted to do that is just to remind us that Impact is and has always been a huge community project of our congregation. We were founding members. Next year is our 20th year doing this work. We have been on the ground floor since the very, very beginning. If you don't know Impact, what we do, and I am going to read off my cheat sheet for this so I'm totally clear. We are an interfaith organization, a dynamic organization, faith-driven, that works to unite all kinds of congregations in the Charlottesville and Albemarle area in order to create real and lasting change in our community. We bring congregations together and we impact the sort of collective voice of all people of faith in this community to tackle issues of social justice. We have made incredible changes in a lot of different places in the last 20 years. This year, we're working on a couple of very thorny problems: affordable housing, transit, making sure that we have a public transit system that works for everybody, and substance abuse, bringing the Women's Treatment Center back and making sure that it can serve women and their kids so they can stay in the community as they grapple with addiction. I also wanted to just make a case for why Impact is really important in 2025, in a time when it is hard to be a person. It's hard to be a citizen of this country. It's hard to be a person who lives in the world and a thoughtful, kind citizen in a really scary time. Impact is really helpful because we are local, and my mechanism for dealing with 2025 so far is to really focus on what we can change locally and how we can be a bulwark internally against scary things coming down federally. Strengthening our community is important. The work we can do to make this a healthy society. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Tim. That's really important more than ever now. And also, it is interfaith. It is genuinely interfaith. You connect with people who are different than you in a lot of ways, including politically, with one thing that binds us together, which is the desire to make positive change in this community. Doing something that connects around shared values is really important. Meeting people outside of your own bubble is really important. And doing it offline is really, really, really important. Connections are how we recognize our shared humanity, and that really matters right now. So having these ties to other communities within Charlottesville matters. That's why we do the work. We're asking, of course, for social action collections. The budget is always bare bones. It supports 2 to 3 people, like nice young people who are good organizers who need to live in Charlottesville and have health insurance. And it sends people to trainings, and that's basically it, other than like copy paper. Our budget is available and transparent. You can see it. You can see there's no waste, nothing to trim. So we hope you know that the money that you donate for Impact Now goes right into the work of making change. So thank you all so much for your participation for 20 years. Thank you for your continued participation. I'm here to answer any questions, as is Susan or Meg after the service. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Thank you, Kelsey. Rachel, would you please show the social action collection slide for giving for those who would like to make a donation to Impact right now? Thank you. All right. In addition to giving online, if you would like to make a donation to Impact with cash or check, please use the social action collection envelopes here in the sanctuary and then place your offering in the collection plate. Please make checks out to UU Congregation of Charlottesville and write Social Action Collection in the memo line. Along with our social action collection, we invite everyone to financially support the ministries and mission of this community. Through your pledges and the weekly Sunday morning offering, together our financial gifts support UUCville and enable us to put love into action. This is our shared ministry. During the music that follows, you can offer your financial support by using the text address or going to our website. You may place cash or checks in the collection plates as they are passed. Let us now dedicate all of the many gifts we share with one another by saying, "We accept your gifts with gratitude. May we use them wisely for the highest good." Our reading is called "Nothing is Settled, Everything Matters" by Robbie Walsh. I knew a man who had printed on his stationery this proverb: "Nothing is settled, everything matters." It established a certain ambiance for reading his letters, as if to say, what you are about to read is to be taken seriously, but is not final. I remember him and his proverbs sometimes, especially when it seems impossible to change the world or myself in any significant way, times like the beginning of a new year. "Sorry, Jim," I say. "It's not true that nothing is settled. In the past year, choices have been made, losses have been suffered, there's been growth and decay, there have been commitments and betrayals. None of that can be undone. A year ago, no one knew whether during this year one person would become pregnant, another would get cancer, another would take a new job, another would have an accident, but now it is settled. One day this year, I was present just when someone needed me. Another day, I was busy doing something else when I was needed. One day, I said something to a friend that injured our relationship. Another day, I said something that enabled a person to see life in a new way. The best and the worst of those days are now written. All my tears of joy or sorrow cannot erase it. But if I stay with my meditation long enough, the reply comes. Robbie, Jim says, you have misunderstood the proverb. It is true that you cannot escape the consequences of your actions or the chances of the world. But what is not settled is how the story turns out. What is not settled is what the meaning of your life will be. The meaning of a life is not contained within one act or one day or one year. As long as you are alive, the story of your life is still being told, and the meaning is still open. As long as there is life in the world, the story of the world is still being told. What is done, but nothing is settled. And if nothing is settled, then everything matters. Every choice, every act in the new year matters. Every word, every deed is making the meaning of your life and telling the story of the world. Everything matters in the year coming, and more important, everything matters today.
Thank you, Tori. Good morning again, everyone. So earlier this week, I was asking Reverend Lee, I said, so I don't know if I can preach in a bathrobe. She said, well, if it's an issue, Tim, bring your blazer with you. But I think I'm going to do it, or I'm going to try it. So can you all take me reasonably seriously if I'm wearing my bathrobe? Okay, good. All right. I mean, not that you really should anyway, but just I don't want the bathrobe to be a distraction. So I'm so glad you all are here today. Lot going on in the world. I was very blessed to be able to call Robbie Walsh my very first Unitarian Universalist minister when I discovered Unitarian Universalism about, 27 years ago. And Robbie became sort of my UU muse. His vision and understanding of what Unitarian Universalism is very much became mine. And I actually had the privilege once of hearing him preach a sermon after he shared this very meditation, which of course he wrote. I want to say more about that in a minute, but before I do, I want to say a word about what happened at the University of Virginia, and especially at the medical center on Friday. So Linda Dukes is holding up a sign. So for those of you who aren't aware, UVA Medical, after receiving pressure from the Attorney General of Virginia, and of course, an executive order coming from the White House about gender affirming care for minors, decided to suspend the providing of that care for anyone under the age of 19. And now I could spend 20 minutes telling you what I think about this decision. I'll save that for another time. But let me say this. I would just want to state very clearly from this pulpit and on behalf of this congregation that the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Charlottesville stands with our trans youth, with people who are LGBTQ+. We are a community of unconditional love, welcome, and commitment to justice. And I want to make sure that message is loud and clear. On Friday, I'm sure many of you probably didn't see this, but I wrote a social media post on behalf of the congregation. You probably can't read it, but it says very much what I just said. And so I want to make sure that that message was out there, that we are here, that we are ready to offer support. We are ready to do what we can to create positive change. So, and I would also add, that the time has definitely come, and it's in our long-range plan, but we're doing so many things right now, but the time has now come to really re-energize an LGBTQ plus ministry in this congregation, and watch for a text or an email announcing a Zoom conversation that'll happen hopefully this coming week. And if you would like to participate in that conversation, you are most welcome. But we've got to roll up our sleeves and get busy. So now, UVA's decision certainly fits a pattern that we are seeing in this country, a pattern in which fear and intimidation are already, in 2 very short weeks, leading to changes that are harmful, scary, and wrong. It seems like for me, and I'm speaking for myself, but from talking to many of you, I think I'm speaking for you as well, that almost every day, something new is announced, something new happens, and my spirits just go down. They basically hit rock bottom. And in less than 2 weeks, so many marginalized communities are already experiencing harm and are being used as scapegoats and dog whistles, while our Constitution, democracy, the democratic process are being undermined. These are hard times, and to imagine 4 years makes me low. I know you thought I was here to cheer you up. And actually, this is my question. This is what I want to take a few minutes to talk about. And this is where Robbie's meditation fits in. So in a time like this, where do we find hope? With this daily barrage of negativity, of hurtful language, of hurtful actions, where's the source of strength? Where's the sources of hope? I want to make the case today that for me, and I think for many, at least some of those sources can come from Unitarian Universalism, from this very faith tradition. For example, listening to Peter Mayer's song, Holy Now. I don't know that Peter Mayer is officially a Unitarian Universalist. I don't really care about that. He's a wonderful songwriter who is, many of you, of course, are familiar with and probably in love with his hymn, Blue Boat Home. Peter Mayer wrote that too. But his lyrics, his vision, his understanding of religion in Holy Now and in Blue Boat Home, they start to bring my spirits up. Everything is holy. Everything is a miracle. It reminds me why I'm a Unitarian Universalist. It calls me back to those things that bring meaning and hope to my life. And I especially want to argue that Robbie Walsh's meditation is a wonderful, I think, vision of what the meaning of hope is and where hope comes from in Unitarian Universalism. At least it is for me. Think about what Robbie's saying. Nothing is settled. That's a Unitarian Universalist vision. Doesn't mean that we don't have principles and values and covenants and all of those wonderful things. But Unitarian Universalism recognizes at its core that life, that the universe is in process. It's evolving, it's changing. The outcome is not known. There's no, as much as we think life is determined by X or Y, and a good bit of it is, but there's openness, there's pluralism, there's diversity. There's these characteristics that lead the universe to be a place of extraordinary beauty, awe-inspiring mystery. That's the vision, if you will, of the universe, of life, of existence, I think, that's at the heart of Unitarian Universalism. We celebrate questions and answers. We celebrate uncertainty and certainty, but we never stop searching. We never stop seeking. And the reason for that is because we believe in a world and a reality that is always in process. It is always, always itself moving. Listen to what Robbie said that Tori read for us a minute ago. What is not settled is how the story turns out. What is not settled is what the meaning of your life will be. The meaning of a life is not contained within one act, one day, or 1 year. As long as we are alive, the story of our lives is still being told, and the meaning is still open. As long as there is life in the world, the story of the world is still being told. What is done is done. And I'll add, what's being done right now is not good, but nothing is ultimately settled. Thinking about that, reflecting on Robbie's beautiful words, it just helps me to say, things are bad, they're likely to get worse, but that's not destiny. Change is possible, justice is possible. And I will say that one of the reasons Unitarian Universalists maintain their hope and don't give up is because there is at least one thing I think that is settled in Unitarian Universalism, and that is the power of love. Unitarian Universalism affirms that love is real, that love exists, that love is at the center. That love is at the center. That's actually the essence of the Universalist side of our faith. Now, how you understand where that love comes from, that's up to you. Maybe you see it in a divine being, a divine creator. If you do, that's wonderful. If you see that love emerging from the beauty and majesty of the human heart, that's equally wonderful. The point is, love, nothing can stamp out love. Love never ends. Now, I can hear my critics saying, okay, wait a minute. If love is so powerful, why are things so icky, terrible right now? If love is so powerful, why is this happening? For you theologians out there, this is the issue of, or the question of theodicy. Why does a loving God, if you will, allow bad things to happen? Well, there's different answers to that question, and that's like 10 more sermons, so I'll get to that at some point. But when I think about the theodicy question, I am always brought back as a Unitarian Universalist, because we find wisdom and truth in all religious traditions. I am always brought back to a concept and a story in the Jewish tradition. I've talked about this before, and this concept is called Tikkun Olam, which means to repair the world. And the understanding in the Jewish tradition is that when the world was created, let's just say by God, that creation was somewhat broken, that there's a crack in creation, a crack that causes hurt, injustice, suffering, pain. And God relies on us to heal or repair that crack. That's Tikkun Olam, repairing or healing the world. So creation wasn't perfect. It was incomplete. The purpose of a human life in the Jewish tradition is to do your part to finish the work of creation. And I think the idea that this life, this world, this existence are both beautiful and broken, magnificent and yet unfinished. I think that idea is terribly important in Unitarian Universalism. It's never been enough in our tradition for UUs to simply sit back and wait for God or the gods to do the repairing or to create the healing. It's up to us, Unitarian Universalists, all people, to take the gift of life that has blessed us and to build a world in which, again, drawing on the Jewish tradition, the Hebrew prophet said, and that Dr. King quoted so often, a world in which justice rolls down like waters and peace like an ever-flowing stream. That's why we're here. That's our calling. Here's Robbie's words again. Every choice, every act matters. Every word, every deed is making the meaning of your life and telling the story of the world. Everything matters in the year coming, and more important, everything matters today. Nothing is settled. Everything matters. There's no question that these are frightening, difficult times. If you come into this space today, or if you're online and you're feeling scared, angry, lost, perhaps even hopeless, please know that you are not alone. If you're in that place, I invite you to turn to Unitarian Universalism. Turn to the words of our poets and meditation writers like Robbie Walsh, songwriters like Peter Meer. Draw wisdom and inspiration from the words of courageous and prophetic people. And perhaps most importantly, turn to each other. Turn to both your neighbor and the stranger. Turn to your family, your friends, to the person sitting next to you, and yes, to this beloved community. Let love fill your heart and give you hope. And when you're able to find your way back to hope, take it with you out into the world. Share it with others, turn it into deeds of love and kindness, compassion, and justice. Be a vessel for love, a conduit for kindness, an instrument of peace. Everything you do, no matter how small and perhaps seemingly insignificant, everything you do, your words, your deeds, your very life touches others, and with it transforms the world. That, my friends, is the power of love. That's what happens when we put love at the center and live Unitarian Universalism. May it be so. Blessed be, and thank you so much for listening. I'd now like to invite us to rise in body or spirit, join in singing a beautiful Quaker hymn about which I think speaks so well to difficulty and hope, which is hymn number 108 in the gray hymnal, My Life Flows On, an Endless Song. The lyrics will also be on the screen, so please rise if you can.
You
Tori, would you please extinguish our chalice? I leave you this morning with words from my colleague Ellen Johnson Fay. Do justly this day and every day. Be of good will. Journey humbly before the mysteries of life and before the gulf which separates our actions from our ideals. Live in peace and praise, for our day, our lives, our journeys are just beginning. Friends, be well, take very good care of yourselves, of each other, and of the world. I hope that you can find sources of hope and love and peace in your lives. And may I just suggest that you start with pancakes. See you in there. Thank you, Tori. Great stuff.